It's a Meatball Monday. A Meatball Monday edition of the TexAgs Rewind presented by T-Mobile. Dalton Hughes again today for David Nuno. That's Big Shooter. He's excited to watch Sonny DeShera tonight and the Auburn Tigers take on the Oregon State Beavers in the Corvallis Super Regional. On the Rewind today, we got the Go Hour. Actually, no. We've got the Bro Hour. That's myself and Richard Zane talking Aggie baseball. Jim Schloss, Aggie baseball head coach, on taking the Maroon and White to Omaha in his first season. Tom Hart, he's of television. He's a great guy. He joined too. And Billy Liucci, gutty performance, gutting it out, no voice, still did an hour. It's TexAgs Rewind. The Aggies are headed to Omaha. Let's go back. Let's look back. Let's go to Friday night, Richard.
Friday night or Saturday morning?
Yeah, well, let's start Friday night and we'll finish Saturday morning. Game 1 of the College Station Super Regional. What do you got for us? You were in the press box.
I mean, it was very similar to the games early in the season. A lot of men left on base, a lot of strikeouts in big situations. It felt like the Aggies were going to blow the game open at any point. They left the bases loaded in the first, the second, the sixth, and the eighth, I believe. Stranded 17 runners.
Incredible.
On base. And it took a 2-out, bases loaded, opposite field single by Mr. Clutch, Troy Clonch himself, to finally get that winning run home.
So that was what finally, and it's kind of fitting that Troy's the one that drove in the winning run, because I think not talked enough about by people all weekend long was Troy Clonch's defense.
Fantastic.
In two ways. One, I think he threw out every runner that tried to steal on him on the base.
He was perfect. He was perfect in caught stealings this weekend.
I know you had the one wild pitch with Palish there in the ninth of game 2. Can you remember another ball getting by him? Like true pass ball. There may have been a wild pitch or two.
There wasn't. I mean, he was not charged with the pass ball all weekend. There might have been 2 wild pitches this weekend, but there wasn't a pass ball charged against him.
That's incredible. In that situation, especially when you talk about Jacob Palish coming in, who's got the knockout stuff, he's going to throw the breaking ball down in the zone. He's going to bounce it in there. Troy Clonch behind the plate was absolutely fantastic. And I think we've said it multiple times. You guys talked about it Saturday after the game with you, Butch, Billy, Bronny. Troy Clonch is the MVP of this team, and I don't want to think about where Texas A&M baseball is this year without that guy behind the plate.
No, it's a scary thought. I mean, catcher is absolutely. This isn't earth-shattering thought, but catcher's a premium position on the field, and he plays it exceptionally well. Don't think he's the best defensive catcher A&M's ever had. Probably not. He's certainly not the best offensive catcher Texas A&M's ever had, but he might be the most important catcher Texas A&M has ever had. Just his veteran leadership and who he is in the dugout, on the field, in the clubhouse, working with this pitching staff, which, by the way, was a work in progress early on in the year. Troy Clonch and Nate Yeske have worked together to get this pitching staff, this starting rotation, I guess if you can even call it a rotation, and this bullpen to a point where they can punch your ticket to Omaha. I mean, Troy Clonch deserves so much credit for this.
What a wild year one. If I asked you to do the short answer of what were you feeling Saturday afternoon at the top step of the dugout when that you got that cold bath?
First of all, it felt good because it was a hot day, but yeah, that's always a great moment when you get to watch a team celebrate to go to the World. Guys, a group of people that, with the exception of a few, have never been, and it never gets old. And I'm just so excited for the 12th man, honestly, because I know the expectations here, and I know what the fans want and what we've gone through to get here. So let's see how long we can ride this thing out.
Coach, more so than that, I'm wondering, what is the conversation like when you guys get into the coach's office after the on-field celebration? Do you guys look at each other and just laugh about kind of how this is taking place?
Yeah. Well, we pretty much do that after every game. You get, when, again, our identity, the identity of this team is what it is, right? It's not changing. So when you're a traditional baseball guy, like most people are, or most coaches are, and you're you really believe in having great starting pitching and outstanding defense and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's the coaching staff, mainly me, that has to slap yourself in the face and just say, hey, stop talking about stuff that we don't have and start being, more fired up about the things we do have. And which we are, and then, which we've talked about every week for the last 16, 17 weeks about the competitive grit of this team and the guys that do make pitches out of the bullpen and the guys that make plays when plays need to be made. I mean, you don't make it this far without being talented. And that's, I think every now and then, sometimes we get sold short on how talented these players are.
Well, and going into the weekend, you had 3 guys on the roster that had experienced a super regional win, and Micah, Troy, and Jacob, and I thought all 3 came up just absolutely enormous. Just take me through their weekends from a leadership standpoint and what you knew you had to get out of those guys going in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all started. We have we do a little thing in practice, probably 3 days a week, where it's a team defensive thing, and you and I always finish, hey, last 3 outs, super regional to get to Omaha, and it's going to be 3 tough plays, might be 3, a pop up, a slow roller, a double play that has to get turned to get to Omaha, and we did it in our last practice before the super regional, and the kids always celebrate at the end of it. And somebody said something about a dog pile, and Troy Clonch stopped everybody in their steps and said, listen, there's only one dog pile, and it's in the last game. So when we win this weekend, there's no dog pile. I didn't say that. Dog piles scare me to death, but they're usually always after a super regional win most places. And so it is what it is, but I don't know. I just feel like that moment right there was an example of the kind of, quiet confidence that Troy has, that Micah has, that Palish has, that only comes from experience. And I'm glad those guys on our team, and it's ironic they played such a huge role in the last game.
On the call of, as they proclaimed it, Catholics, classless versus Catholics, run it back, Tom. What happened at Lindsey Nelson Stadium this weekend?
Well, a couple things. Notre Dame is a friendly reminder that a lot of times Northern teams get better as they get deeper in the year. I mean, they didn't play as many games as Tennessee. Tennessee had more wins than Notre Dame had games played going into that. And if you're a good Northern team with talent, a lot of times you don't reach your potential until later in the year, just because you don't have the at-bats, you don't have the time outdoors, you don't have the same opportunities. So credit to Notre Dame. They played really well game 1. They flipped the script on Tennessee. They homered 4 times in the first 4 innings. They took advantage of that launching pad ballpark. And any Tennessee apologist who tries to claim that they don't play in a small ballpark is just, they're not being realistic. Because, in fact, what happened in Game 3 was the short porch to right field, which is 320 down the line and probably only like 350 to the gap with a short wall for the bullpen. They got an opposite field home run on a kind of a half swing where the guy let the velocity of the pitch take it off the barrel and over the wall, and that tied it. And they hit another one right after that to take the lead. So Notre Dame came up with the big hits when they mattered. And the beauty of college baseball, and I wasn't able to keep tabs on College Station this weekend because I was working. But so I don't know if this came up for the Aggies or for Louisville. But college baseball is inherently imperfect. There are a lot of mistakes made. There are more errors made than you see in a major league game, and that's the beauty of it, because these guys aren't professionals, and the moment gets to them, and mistakes are made, and opportunities then provided for the other team. Then, sure enough, Notre Dame, got the lead late in the game, got it in the 7th inning after trailing 3-1, and then Tennessee made mistakes in the 8th. And then they got tight. Well, they got tight before the mistakes, but, they were down late and they got tight instead of playing loose and with the bravado that they show. And now their season's over. It's as simple as that.
It's remarkable. It's it's incredibly fun. I can't tell you how happy I am for those coaches and that staff and those players. You know, it's not like the 98 or 99 team where I'm going to college with all those guys and know them. It's not even like the 2012 or the 98 football team where they're your roommates and stuff, or the 2012 team football where I knew so many of those guys. This is, you just see them in passing. You know, they come to the office to do interviews. You see them around. You hear about them from the A&M staff. You watch how they interact as a team on the field, and they're just like, it really is a great group of great group of dudes in that locker room, and they are as tight knit a team as I've seen come through A&M. They really are. They really remind me of the '98 A&M football team in that regard. They really do. And look, there's no limit now to what they can do. So we need to make sure that we don't look at that bracket and go, woe is me. They got to face the big lefty from OU, who might be one of the two best pitchers in this World Series. They've got it. Then they might have to play Texas and Melendez and Steely and all those bats. Man, that would suck to lose to the Horns in Omaha. You have to start looking at it the other way, which is A&M just proved this weekend they can win a 5-4 game, they can win a 4-3 game, and they've done that before. But to do it against Louisville back-to-back, the two teams you're about to play, Texas A&M beat the team that won that conference. Texas A&M beat one of those two teams already this year in their house before the Aggies were playing good, when they had a guy start that didn't record an out. So right now you have to kind of shift I think the way you look at this, and you say the reality is A&M might be the highest seeded team in the tournament. They're certainly going to be the highest seeded team in their bracket. And with Tennessee out, Dalton, this is a team that could win a national championship this year. And they could go 0-2 because, again, they're going to face a brutally tough pitcher in the opener and a team that's just as hot as they are in Oklahoma. And then they're going to face, either the Notre Dame team that beat Tennessee or a Texas team that can just absolutely mash. So, but man, if you're handicapping the field, pending what Stanford and Oregon State do, and even then, to me, it doesn't really matter. I'm just looking at that bracket, that side of it, and I'm going, golly, dog. They have a real chance to win a national title this year.
Absolutely.
At least play for one. So that's the way I think we as Aggie fans need to look at it. Stop the worrying. Those teams need to worry about Texas A&M, who's 5-0 in this tournament and 7-1 in the postseason, playing really, really good baseball teams.
That'll do it for the Rewind on a Monday, a meatball Monday, if you will. Enjoy it. Press play. Watch some baseball. Get to Omaha.